Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cinema Scrutiny. Today we are going for part two of our Marvel Cinematic Universe ranking chart. We are tackling Phase 2 today in its entirety, all 6 films. I am John, joined as always by my co host Billy. How are you doing this week, Bill?
Pretty good. Um, it's a slow start to the week, but I'm excited to get back to this little ranking system we got going here.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we had a good conversation on the first 6 films, and I am excited to add more because I feel like it's just going to get more complicated as we go.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah, if you guys haven't seen the first video, be sure to check out Phase 1. I will link it in the description down below. But let's just jump into it. The first movie that came out is Iron Man 3.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the first non John Favreau directed Iron Man.
Yes. So
And,
Shane Black, who did this one. Pretty good director. I like him. Uh, However, this Iron Man is super controversial. When it came out, I think. Well, people were really hyped for it, for sure. But I think the whole like twist and turn that they tried to throw into the movie with the Mandarin. That's his name, right? The Mandarin.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think that whole twist definitely like they fell flat on their face with that one. Um, I think when the movie first came out, I remember was like I was disappointed with it. But as the years have gone on, I have grown to be a bit of an apologist for it in some ways.
Sure.
Uh,
So, what about like Potato Gun Kid? What do you think of him?
uh, I think that he served like a good purpose for Tony as far as like seeing like the world through like a kid's eye as far as like his creations and whatnot.
Hmm.
I think the Potato Gun Kid was like good contrast just for Tony as a character.
Sure.
Um, and I think in that aspect, I thought he was a good positive. Um, I'm trying to think of like other things that I was like not really impressed with. I mean, the villain is like
Yeah, the villain in
uh,
this is really boring.
yeah.
I thought that the Gwyneth Paltrow getting powers for like a couple seconds at the end was kind of weird.
hmm yeah.
The Mandarin
I
thing
would have.
really is the worst part.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would have been a lot cooler to see him like actually take on like the terrorist angle that they tried to play up in the trailers.
Hmm.
I was actually really interested in that and thought it was going to be really fun.
Yeah, I
Um,
think one of the main things that probably made people so upset about this one is that there was kind of like a misdirection in the advertising about what it was going to be about,
mhm.
and sometimes that works and it like subverts the expectation and surprises the audience. But I think this is one of those cases where like nobody wanted to be surprised by the Mandarin not actually being the Mandarin. You know
Right,
what I mean?
because
Like,
the real Mandarin is like super cool, like with all the rings and everything, and they have
yeah,
powers. So there was definitely a lot of potential there, and the real like the true Iron Man fans who read the books and whatnot were very excited and also very let down, I would say.
mm-hmm.
Um, and to be fair, over the years, I've, like I said, I kind of have grown to like this movie a little bit more.
Sure.
I think the final fight in the shipyard is kind of fun. I like Tony like jumping through like different suits.
Mm.
That was kind of cool. Got to show off. I thought it was a fun way to show off like his other Iron Man suit designs that like we never get to see,
Yeah,
even
that's
if they
fair.
were just for a few seconds. The main Iron Man suit in this movie, I hate. I think it's way too much gold.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
really weird.
I just and like it's all different pieces like flying around. Like I get it. Like you gotta mix up the suit a little bit with
Mm.
every iteration, but I just wasn't into it. Um, I like the Tony escape scene where he's escaping that mansion. Um,
Oh, when
where
it's
he
like
doesn't have his suit.
collapsing or whatever.
Yeah, it's like after he finds out the
Oh, you
Mandarin is like a
mean
big actor or whatever.
yeah, yeah. I was thinking of the scene where they blow up his like oceanside estate.
Oh,
But you're talking
yeah,
about the
that
one
I
where he's like chained to the bed.
yeah, where he escapes that and he
Yeah,
just has like
just
his
the
like
hand
gloves with like
cannon.
a boot.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he's got a gun and stuff. Like that was fun. I thought that was I think giving like taking the suit away from Tony and having him be forced to figure it out on his own
Yeah.
is a cool angle for Tony Stark. And they didn't like. I don't think they overplayed it with this one that much.
Sure. So
Like the suit was gone, but it also wasn't. So I don't know.
So moving to a rating, I'll just put mine out there. I think this is like a 4 or like a 2-star. That's just my opinion. I know that you've been having this apologist look back at it. I genuinely, I still have to go through the list. This is my least favorite movie probably in the entire MCU. Just like, do I think it's the worst? Probably not. But is it something that I would really go back to? Probably never.
Yeah. I actually agree with your 4-star, even though I am a bit of like I enjoy it more. I probably would have gave this thing like a 3 when it came out. But I think a 4-star or like a 4 overall. I think that's pretty fair.
All right, so I will drop a 4 on it, and I will drag it over into our list here.
The Iron Man 3 fans are gonna be pissed.
Yeah, well, the Iron Man 3 fans can suck it up. All right. So, we gave the Incredible Hulk half a star more.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, that's tough.
Honestly, I think you'd find more enjoyment out of it. Not going to lie.
So, right now, Iron Man 3 is sitting at number 7, the 7th spot. Do we think it's better than Incredible Hulk? Seriously. Like, would you, you just said you think it's a funner movie.
I think the Incredible Hulk is more satisfying, I guess, as far as just like an introduction to the character. Even though his villain sucks in that movie, I think this Iron Man movie is definitely a better movie overall, though. Like,
all right.
Just movie wise, like standards of movie making. So I do think it is a notch better.
Gotcha. So that puts it at number 6. Do we think it is better than the first Thor movie? I know that you would probably think yes.
For me, yes.
I would say no.
What's after the Thor movie?
Thor, then Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking.
You think Thor is above this?
Yes, 100%.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Listen, I'll go back and I'll watch Thor because it's like got the Asgard stuff and it's just interesting. Iron Man 3 genuinely is doing nothing for me.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. But
I got a knack for like going back and watching movies I don't like The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
and I never finish it.
Yeah, I have not gone back, I don't think, since that movie came out. But the next movie on our list is Thor: The Dark World. So while I'm pulling that up, this is one of the one of the movies that I think people would rate the lowest, and we'll probably see that going into it. But I don't dislike this movie.
Yeah, I also don't dislike this movie. I think it has a lot of nice moments in it. I think the villain is the worst villain in all of the MCU movies.
Yeah, like Elfman or whatever.
Yeah, the dark elf leader, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Malachi.
Not important. Oh, great.
I think.
But I like the introduction of the Reality Stone. Even though if I remember correctly, it didn't really do a lot of reality bending type of things.
No, it did not.
Yeah, so it was honestly like looking at that movie and seeing what it does in that, and then seeing every other version of it later on, like in Infinity War and whatnot. It does nothing that it did in this movie, which is kind of weird. Maybe they just didn't know what they were doing yet.
Sounds like a budget thing.
It was either a budget thing or just a vision thing. I think one of the Game of Thrones directors was in charge of this movie.
It says it's directed by Alan Taylor.
I think he worked on Game of Thrones.
I'll
think.
Take a look. We'll
but
see if
I am not positive. Which I like the opening scene where Thor shows up on that battlefield. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, with the Warriors 3.
Yeah, I like the that little the team up with Loki where like they go to meet Malachi or whatever.
Yeah, I
And
think my favorite part of this movie is Thor and Loki kind of teaming up like hero anti-hero.
yeah, that was definitely one of the highlights for sure. I
Yeah.
think the scene where Thor gets like they fake like chopping his hand off or
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah, that was great.
It was a great bait and switch in the trailer, and then it actually paid off in the movie because it's something they would totally do.
Hmm.
So uh, that was fun. But I mean, other than that, I can't really see any like other highlights out of this movie.
Yeah, I agree. It's just kind of like a stick. Like it's just kind of there.
Yeah, and they were still definitely trying to like figure out Thor, I think, in some
Hmm.
ways.
100%.
Or they were trying to go like super Game of Thrones hard turn with him, and uh, Thor just wasn't built for that, I guess, in this MCU world.
Yeah.
Um, it's a little bit too far into that fantasy realm uh, without all the context, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. So where
Uh,
are we feeling on a star rating?
I'm thinking. I want to say this is also a 4.
Hmm.
Um, even though I think I definitely enjoy Iron Man 3 more than this movie. Um,
Wow, I think I
however,
enjoyed this movie more than Iron Man 3.
yeah, um, I don't know. I could give it a 5, honestly.
I feel like a
But
4 is probably fair to the
I
vibe.
think the whole like villain thing really like drags it down. Like
Yeah, I
the whole,
agree.
it's just a big problem
You know,
with
Marvel
this.
obviously has always kind of had a problem with like one-time villains,
Yeah,
but this one in particular is like absolutely meaningless.
right. I agree.
Like never really gets any characterization or good backstory. It just kind of happens.
Yep.
All right, so let's put Thor: The Dark World on the list here. Thor: The Dark World. All right. Is it better than the Incredible Hulk? Probably.
Yes.
Is it better than Iron Man 3? This is where we're gonna have to fight for it.
No, it is not. Unfortunately, as a movie, Iron Man 3 is a better movie, even though it is not a satisfying MCU movie
Mm.
or addition to the Iron Man world. I think uh, the villain in Iron Man 3 is much better than Thor 2.
Yeah, sure. Aldrich Killian. I guess because
Yeah,
if I remember his name, that means he was important.
it's true. I
Uh,
mean, he was decent. He wasn't terrible.
yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's got to be.
I
I think
don't.
Iron Man. It's got to be above it.
I don't particularly agree with you, but I also got you to keep Thor in that number 5 spot, so
Mm.
I will let you have this one. And also, in the interest of time, we are going to move on to the next film, and I think we'll get there probably our favorite film of the MCU, which is
Yes.
Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah, this is top tier MCU shit right here. And it's not really a debate, honestly.
No,
uh, this movie is sick. Uh, they the whole like political espionage theme that they went for with Cap
it's
is
fantastic.
it's the perfect modern setting for Captain America, and they execute beautifully. Um, I can't give this movie like enough praise, honestly. Honestly, the fight scene on the highway, where they first run into Bucky,
Hmm.
uh, it's one of my favorite fight scenes in the whole MCU
Yeah, I
of time.
agree. Shot really well.
Shot really well. It's intense. It's like probably one of the best character introductions in the entire MCU, introducing Bucky. Um, and to be honest, unfortunately, he hasn't really had another fight scene that's like matched up to it. I think
100%,
in
I
some
agree.
ways, which is kind of unfortunate.
I would
They
say the
tried
closest they
Civil
got.
War,
Yeah, I was about to say the closest they got was the end of Civil War.
yeah, which is also epic in its own right. But there's also just other great stuff in this movie as well. The introduction to Sam is great. Um, Black Widow's team up with Cap is also really good.
Yeah,
Everything's just good.
I was gonna say you can tell how powerful this movie is because these like this is the first time we see the Russo brothers. They
Yeah,
go on to make three more and debatably the three most hype influential films. They make the Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame
yeah,
crazy. You get Sam Wilson as the Falcon. You get Bucky as the Winter Soldier. Both of those characters are still super relevant today. Not only
Yep.
are they still super relevant, they're getting their own TV show. Comes out this Friday. We're gonna have
Right.
a review up on the channel. Don't you guys worry of the pilot. But like that's insane. Like the fact that two side characters from a single movie are now powerful enough 10 years later that they deserve their own 6-hour TV show.
Yeah.
Like that prove like that just this movie. Like this movie is just carrying so much on its back and does so much so well that
Yeah.
it still echoes throughout the MCU today.
Yeah. It's honestly one of those. It's one of those things that like it's like it borderlines MCU becoming something bigger. Really giving it like I don't want to I don't want to say Oscar worthy, but like it deserves awards. Like
Yeah.
shit's good. So
All right. Well, in the interest of time and not overselling the movie, I'm thinking we just give this a 5 out of 5. Big 5-star.
absolutely, definitely. It's
10
not really.
out of 10.
It's not really. Yeah, I couldn't give it anything else, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Very good film. Gonna drop it onto our list here. I'm gonna shoot it all the way up to number 1.
Oh yeah.
And now we will work our way backwards unless, do you think that this is a better movie than the first Avengers movie?
100%.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
We're both in agreement then. No question. This is
Yes.
like right here. I believe this is also the first movie we get with the writers that would later go on to do the exact same movies I mentioned before. I believe they did Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame.
Yes.
These people putting out bangers.
Russo brothers, big time.
Yeah, so that's that.
Yeah.
Now we have to move on in a totally different direction for the MCU. While all this is happening on Earth, James Gunn is out in space and he's doing some real weird shit.
Yeah. Well, James Gunn's kind of a weird guy, and I think at the time, I think people who knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, which granted a very small group of people at that time, hearing James Gunn working on this, I'm sure they were excited because he's a little bit of a wacky guy as far as his content. But he did it justice. He really he created the sci-fi element of the MCU, and it's a blueprint that they still follow, which it's pretty crazy. I remember when they were making this film, I had no idea who these guys were, this team.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, this isn't even like one of the normal like lineups for Guardians of the Galaxy, or it wasn't the lineup that they were running in the comics at the time.
Right. Yeah, it was. I think Mantis was in the lineup at the time.
Maybe Nova.
Yeah, potentially. Captain Marvel might have even been involved. I know Iron Man was one time involved with the Guardians. He was on the team, which was like a rumor at one point in the MCU after this movie came out. They were going to send Iron Man to space, and put him on the team, which would have been kind of weird thinking about it now. But I think even this being like a D-list level kind of team before the movie came out, and then this, I think when this came out, after I watched it, I thought to myself, like, this is definitely like one of the better movies in the MCU. Like, this is like some top tier stuff. And I still kind of feel that way, honestly, looking back on it. I feel like it's definitely like I don't know if it's top 5 because there's so many great additions to the world and the universe. But when it came out, it was definitely like top 5 MCU movies.
I think the thing that this movie does so interestingly is that over time the MCU feels very homogenous. Like you get a lot of samey feeling movies.
Sure.
And I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy took such a like insane directional turn where because it was so far out in space, it literally had to follow none of the previous constrictions of the series.
Yeah.
And it really uses it to its advantage. It also has obviously a killer soundtrack and like a really unique comedy like style to it.
Yeah.
But I think this is just what people really want from the MCU all the time. They want something that's like really new and refreshing and different.
Hmm.
And I feel like the first Guardians definitely delivers on that promise.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Uh, it's definitely iconic. I think looking back on it now. Um,
Yeah. It's a big defining movie, kind of even outside, because it does also, for the most part, Guardians stands out very far from the MCU. There's really like no direct connection until Infinity War.
yeah,
And it just like it really just stands on its own really well. I
I
would
agree.
I'd probably give it like an 8. I think that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I think an 8 is a good spot for it.
Okay.
Um, I think I on a certain day you might catch me giving it a 9,
Hmm.
but 8 sounds good. 8, it's definitely an 8.
All right, so let's get that 8 on the board, and now let's drop it. Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014, James Gunn, putting it, starting off at number 10. I am going to shoot it up into the middle here. I'm going to shoot it to the top 5. Let's start with Captain America, the First Avenger. Do we think Guardians is better than Captain America, the First Avenger?
That's a tough comparison, honestly.
Yes, different movies.
What is above Captain America?
All right, so right now our rankings for top 5 are 1, The Winter Soldier, 2, The Avengers, 3, Iron Man, and 4, The First Avenger.
Hmm.
And then 5, Guardians of the Galaxy.
I,
Go ahead.
part of me wants to say yes,
Hmm.
but it's close.
Yeah,
These are all good. I could tell this is going to be a close race in this top 5
yeah.
spot. Like
You know,
it's gonna be easy for someone to get knocked off.
I'm thinking it's probably number 4, but that's because I'm trying to like override my Captain America bias.
Sure,
Because like the first Avenger does have a lot of flaws that I think this movie does not have. I think this movie is just more solid overall.
I agree.
But I do love that first Avenger.
I do too. I think you're right though. I think there are less problems with this movie.
Yeah.
I think it flows incredibly well. The team dynamic is really strong for a team of people that we literally just met in the movie itself.
Yeah, great chemistry.
Yeah, so I think it deserves that number 4 spot.
All
However,
right.
I don't think it'll beat out. It doesn't beat out Iron Man.
No, I agree. I think that's a good place to put it. Sorry, Captain America, but don't worry, he's still at the number 1 spot anyway. So now we are going to veer straight back to Earth for another Avengers team up, the second. We're going Age
Yes.
of Ultron, 2015. Joss Whedon is back.
It's a big moment.
Yeah, this is the reconnection, the start of kind of a new phase. We obviously get WandaVision, or we get Wanda. We do get Wanda and Vision.
Yeah.
We get
Wanda, we get Vision,
Quicksilver.
we get Quicksilver,
Yeah,
Ultron.
and it all just kind of
there's
comes slamming down.
there's a lot of really good moments in this movie.
Yeah.
Now, I remember when I saw it, I was pretty happy with it. I did the things that I didn't like initially. I didn't like how fast Quicksilver was out.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
I thought I wanted to see more of him. I really liked his costume, as basic as it was.
Mm.
I was really into like the simplicity and realisticness of it.
Mm.
And I kind of wasn't that into the whole like Hulk and Black Widow relationship.
Yeah, it's a weird. It feels like it comes out of left field in the film, but
It does. I think, yeah, it does feel like it comes out of left field. I mean, like the whole like Black Widow Hulk like chase scene from the first movie,
yeah,
like from coming from that and then getting to them liking each other in a certain way is kind of. I see the connection, but it's not a strong connection where I felt really sold on it.
yeah, I agree. I think this movie
That-
has some great opening stuff. Like that whole scene when they're all trying to lift Thor's hammer, I thought was really good.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of
Um,
really, really great moments in this
Yeah,
movie.
the Vision's end conversation with Ultron, like in the
Yeah.
forest. But
Vision's entire like arc in this movie is really good. Like
Yeah.
even when he first shows up and is like quote unquote born
Mhm.
and like uh like he gets to the window and he's like looking out at like life. He's very like it's a great introduction to show how like introspective he is
Yeah.
about his existence and life and shit. It's
Hmm.
very cool.
Yeah, I think the
Um,
big one for this movie is that just like while it did have a lot of cool sequences, it never really became, I guess, more to me.
yeah,
I don't know. Like
I th-
it doesn't hit the same as say like the first Avengers
I
or
agree.
like Winter
I
Soldier.
I think the villain Ultron was a little bit of a letdown in
Mm,
some ways. I think James Spader did really good with the voice,
yeah,
but I think he was a little bit uh, too much of like too many quips being thrown out. You know,
yeah, that's
uh,
true.
I think there was a little bit too much joking going on for like the subject matter of what he's trying to do, uh,
Yeah, I think
which
it
is
was a
literally
little
send an asteroid into the planet.
quippy and it was a little like too quick maybe. I feel like he just kind of like creates this giant robot army and like the
Yeah,
stakes don't really make too much sense. It reminds me a lot, and there are some good villain points, like Wanda and Quicksilver being like villains at the beginning,
yeah.
and then like the Hulk Buster scene, like that was really good.
Hulkbuster fight is very good.
But for
I,
me, the big problem is that I almost wish this was more X Men Days of Future Past
sure.
with the Sentinels, because those giant android Sentinels that are like not they're like taking people's powers and doing all that like that raised the stakes, which is really what
It could.
Ultron's trying to do. He's trying to like take people's abilities and take
Yeah,
over the world. And obviously, there's some problems. You can't. They don't know an X Men at the time, so they can't really take like the Sentinel idea.
sure.
And
Yeah.
I don't even believe that movie came out yet. Probably came out 2014 or something like that. At
It
least,
probably was about the same time.
yeah. But like to
Trying to.
me, the Sentinels, even though this movie I think is probably better than Days of Future Past, uh, like that, I don't know, like that opening scene with the Sentinels and like the world is like in shambles and like to
Days
me
of Future
the
Past is a really good movie.
yeah, like
Honestly.
those robots felt scary, right? Like to me,
Yeah.
Ultron doesn't really feel that scary, and I think
No,
that's the
he doesn't.
problem.
I don't think he feels scary at all. Honestly. I mean, there's a couple moments that he has. Like he has some. Yeah. Like overall, like he has his shine, but I think I thought Wanda and Pietro were like much more like threatening villains to them
Yeah,
because they never really fought someone with like powers like that before. And I really love like Wanda's like horror aspect of how she sneaks up on people and like gives them like visions in their head of like an alternate reality. Like it's pretty
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, the vision that she gives Tony obviously goes on to haunt him for literally the rest of his life.
Yeah, yeah. It's really interesting stuff. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on with that.
Yeah.
Um, and the
So,
way like Clint interacts with her and
mhm.
is kind of like a mentor. It's like
Yeah,
really
his
cool stuff.
Avengers speech is great.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of like I said, like a lot of really good moments. I think they definitely redeemed Hawkeye after the first Avengers because he kind of got shelved in that movie
Mm.
through like the first half of it until the back end. But yeah, he definitely got his time in this one, which was fun.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
all the seeds they lay for like Civil War coming up.
Hmm.
Even though I don't think that was initially the plan, uh, seeing how the Avengers, even though they are like the most powerful group of heroes on the planet, they still have their issues amongst each other
Yeah,
and they disagree on things. Having that theme show throughout this is also really nice to see.
yeah. So, where are you feeling it on a number scale here?
Um,
Uh,
I honestly I'm feeling like a strong 6.
okay, I was feeling like a 7.
I thought 7 as well, but I think it is. And don't get me wrong. I think a 6 is a solid ranking. Like I don't think it's bad.
Hmm.
I do enjoy this movie and I do like it.
Yeah,
But I think the negatives of Ultron kind of being a little bit of a disappointment. I think it drags it down a
mm.
little bit. And the whole um, what was it? Well, now that I think about it too, I mean, Vision, the introduction of Vision
It's
and
good.
Wanda is also really, really good.
Yeah,
Uh, I could give it a 7,
Yeah.
but I think it's a low 7. You know,
Yeah, that's fair. I think
it's a light 7.
I agree. I feel like I'm just thinking it's like slightly. There are a lot of great scenes and then a lot of poor scenes.
Hmm.
But I think ultimately a lot of the stuff that we get out of this is, good enough to bump it up to a 7.
Sure.
But, the score isn't everything. Obviously, we have to put it up on our big old list here.
Yeah.
So I am going to jump this up star-wise. Let's see. Is it above Iron Man 2? I'm thinking yes.
Yes. Yes, it is.
All right, and I think this is probably where it's going to stay at the number 6 spot. The next movie up is Captain America: The First Avenger. I'm personally going to go for Cap. It is.
Is that the number 5 spot?
Number
Cap?
5 spot is First Avenger, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fine. Even though Vision and the Wanda elements are really nice, the fighting is really nice. Yeah. No. Yeah, First Avenger is a better movie.
Okay.
Definitely.
All
I'm
right.
trying to I'm trying to work it around in my head. Like,
Yeah, sure.
is it not? I don't know, but
It's
nah.
tough. I think all around, the First Avenger is more clean in its like execution. Like I feel like it does the time period really well, and there's like, I don't know. Like I just feel like I enjoy it more than Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
Age of
I
Ultron.
think I agree.
Yeah, I'm not trying to go back and see Age of Ultron too often, but I do really
True.
re-enjoy Captain America. So the last movie of the day is Paul Rudd, Peyton Reed, Ant-Man.
Oh yeah.
Obviously semi-controversial because the original director, Edgar Wright, kind of got like booted out of this film. This film's kind of like in, honestly, like, I don't know what the word would be, like development hell.
Yeah,
for
Edgar
a long
Wright
time.
is a big reason why this movie ever got made. He was writing it for years,
Yeah.
and he really wanted to do it. And honestly, I think he would have done a better job, 100%, if he had gotten the chance. However, I think Peyton Reed did a really good job with what he was given, or what he was brought on
Tasked to
to
pick
do.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think, before this movie came out, I was not interested, like, at all, because it's Ant-Man,
Yeah.
which is kind of like the easy thing to say about him. But I think that they definitely made him an interesting character. I think Scott Lang is a cool character, being like an ex-con, like a cat burglar type of guy, and he ends up stealing the suit, and he doesn't even realize what he got.
Yeah.
I really like that angle, and how Michael Douglas, Hank Pym, kind of picks him up,
Forces
and,
him into it.
yeah, and I think the background of Hank Pym is really fun. The new science elements of like the Pym particles and stuff, I think, are really cool,
Yeah, I agree.
and what they expand into and become later on in the universe is pretty fun. I think the villain is like, he's also pretty weak in this one.
Yeah, I think that his introduction and like his maybe character is kind of weak, but like the Yellow Jacket, like the costume and the fights, I think are really good.
Yeah, I agree. I
Like-
think they definitely like. It's crazy because the fights, or the fights in this movie are a lot better than the fights in Ant-Man 2.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with
It
that.
felt like this movie felt a lot more creative with like utilizing the small aspects of like fighting as like a tiny little
Yeah,
ant.
I mean, 100%. I think that the train sequence, and by train I mean Thomas the Train,
Yes.
the Thomas the Tank Engine fight is just hilariously iconic to me.
Yeah.
They're like fighting through these giant building blocks.
Yeah.
It's almost akin to me. I think the best way to describe them is like set piece moments for every hero, right?
Yeah.
And for instance, we'll get to it, I believe, next episode. Doctor Strange, I would say the set piece moment for that film is when New York City is literally collapsing in on itself as like reality is folding and all that.
Right.
While they're in like the glass or the mirror dimension or whatever. For me, and like that's like a perfect distillation of Doctor Strange, right? And
Sure.
to me, the perfect distillation of this Ant-Man, like though just the whole concept is them fighting in like a miniature, like a miniatures town. In this case, they chose Thomas the Tank Engine, but like if there was like, I don't know, if they fell into some sort of like Warhammer 40K map, or they fell into some like old dad's World War II diorama, like Civil War diorama that he has on his table.
Yeah.
Like that is just so brilliant for what they did, and I think that it's like a real standout moment of creativity in the MCU.
100%. I agree. And I think it was something this movie needed because everyone, like I would say like 90% of the people saying before this movie came out, they were counting it out.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I was feeling like a big skip going in.
Right.
But then the trailer started looking good, and I was like, "Whoa, that actually looks pretty great."
Yeah.
And then I ended up having a fantastic time.
No, I did too, and I think, the creativeness of the fights, and I also really enjoy the elements of the Ant-Man franchise, how it's like they're heist movies in a way, because I love a good heist, a good old Oceans type of vibe going, even though this movie is not to that scale or that crazy of a heist.
Yeah.
The outline of like a heist movie for an MCU title is fun, and I like how they do that kind of genre bending with their superhero genre, because it keeps things fresh, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in Phase 3, but this Ant-Man movie is much better than the second one in my opinion.
Leagues ahead.
Even though I was super excited for the second one, and not to mention, at the end of the Ant-Man movie, they tease hard. They heavily tease Evangeline Lilly's
The Wasp. Yeah.
And I was so excited at the end of the movie, like seeing her suit. I was like, she's gonna be badass. She's like, because her suit's abilities are way cooler,
Yeah, a lot more going on.
So the movie ended in a satisfying way, and it left me wanting more, So I think it definitely overachieved what it was setting out to do.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it was almost reverse of where like normally people were excited for the first one, not so excited for the second. And I wasn't so, I was more excited for the second one, and maybe we got our hopes up.
Sure.
But, if you had to give this first Ant-Man a score, I'm feeling like a 7, like a nice.
Yeah, I would agree.
7.
It's a 7 because it's not like a perfect movie. I mean, I think there are some points in it. It feels like in the second act, in the beginning of the third, I feel like it drags a little bit.
Sure.
But the supporting characters are really good now that I think about it too.
Yeah, Michael Pena.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny stuff in here, just like thrown in. I think a 7's a fair ranking for it, or a fair score.
I agree. So that brings us to our last movie of the day. Now we just need to put it up on the list here on the board. Let's see, number-wise, it sits. We're gonna start it off right under Iron Man 2. I'm almost feeling like I enjoy this more than Iron Man 2.
Yeah, I like this movie more than Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
I think it's a better movie than Iron Man 2.
Yeah, I feel like that's a semi-easy one, which brings us to probably the harder one. This is The Wall, Age of Ultron. We just reviewed it. We gave it the same score.
It's a high wall.
Yeah, it's very high. Ant-Man's very small.
Even though Ant-Man is a really good movie and a surprise hit, I think the highs of Ultron are higher than the highs of Ant-Man overall. And Age of Ultron's doing a lot more.
Sure. Do you think that Ant-Man's consistency can help anything? Or do you think that Age of Ultron, like, the highs are just... It's too high when it's good?
Yeah, I think the highs are definitely better for Age of Ultron.
Sure.
I think Ultron's a better villain than
The
uh,
Yellow Jacket. That's
the
true.
Yellow
That's
Jacket.
100% true.
Even though I feel like I keep bringing up the villains as if they're like a big factor, but uh, a lot of the MCU villains, I feel like some of them are like pretty subpar.
Hmm.
Granted, both of these movies have kind of subpar villains. I think Ultron is better,
Sure.
and he definitely dominates the screen a lot more than Yellow Jacket.
Yeah, that's fair. So that puts in our new rankings. We are now up to 12 films. The top five are now. Let's see, what do we got? We got Captain America, the Winter Soldier, the Avengers, Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Captain America, the First Avenger. Next
Yes.
time, we will be starting to tackle Phase 3. Phase 3 is, I believe, like 10 movies. Like, it's just a lot larger. It's a lot larger
It is.
than these previous phases. So we'll probably break that up into 2 or 3 parts.
Yeah.
But be sure to keep it locked here to Cinema Scrutiny for those videos. In the meantime, check out our other content. We're putting out things at least once a week. Like I said, we're going to have that Falcon Winter Soldier video up sometime next week. And we are also hoping to have a more in-depth discussion about Zack Snyder's Justice League as well.
Yes.
So keep your eyes peeled for that. If you have any opinions, I feel like, we had a lot more challenges today in ranking these films. Be sure to put them down in the comment section. We can talk it out. If you're excited for the next set of movies, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, ring that bell. And,
Absolutely.
unless you got anything else to say, Bill, I think we should, keep these people going.
Definitely keep your put your thoughts down in the comments. Let us know what you think of these rankings. I'm interested to see the Iron Man 3 fans slaughter us in the comments because I know they will.
Mhm.
But other than that, we got some exciting stuff coming up with Falcon Winter Soldier and Snyder Cut. I'm really excited for Snyder Cut this week
Yeah, it's been getting good
uh,
reviews.
with all the good reviews coming out. So that's going to be a really fun one. So we will be seeing you guys later this week for whichever one of those we get out first.
Yeah, sounds good. Have a good one, guys.